What's going on, everyone? Jericho Green. I'm here, and today's going to be a bit of a departure from our regularly scheduled programming. Normally I'm about the social political commentary, but sometimes I just get sick of that shit. I just want to lighten it up a little bit. So, as you may know, I was in the Navy, and throughout my time in the Navy, I amassed some pretty cool stories, some funny ones. So I want to tell you a funny story from my Navy days called Pissing Boots. So, this was like late May 2000. So I'm like 19 years old. Um, San Juan, Puerto Rico. And as you know, Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory. So when in the Navy, if you're in a U.S. territory, you can stay out till 2 a.m. So normally when we were overseas, it was midnight, based on your rank or whatever. But this time it was 2 a.m. We had like 3 days in Puerto Rico, so it was on and cracking. So we finally get off work, and we head to some corny place to eat. Side note, I would like to go back to a lot of the places that I've visited now that I'm older and I can appreciate the culture and not just chug drinks and get fucked up. So we went to some corny ass restaurant or wherever we ate. Then we end up at this club that's on base. And there's tons of people there, drinks. Man, I must have had 10 or 12 of these drinks called duck farts. And they're like these little tiny shots, like if you grew up in a Baptist church, them little tiny glasses you get of grape juice with the crackers. Well, they were about that size, little tiny shots, but they had Kahlua, Bailey's, and Crown Royal. So they were a little sweet. They didn't taste like liquor. And we all know what happens when you drink drinks that aren't strong. You drink too many of them. So like I said, 212 of those little things. Then we got the Heinekens flowing. Somebody had the bright idea. Now keep in mind, I'm out with like 6 or 7 other people around my age. I think the oldest person was like 21 or something like that. So not a lot of solid decisions being made. And so somebody has a bright idea. Well, let's do some Bacardi 151 shots. We're in Puerto Rico, right? Where they make this shit. So the 151 starts flowing. And I don't know if you ever had 151, but if you have a bottle of rubbing alcohol in your cabinet, just drink that shit. It tastes the same. I think you could run a car off that shit. So the duck farts, the Heineken, the 151 shots are flowing. You're drinking them fast. And the end of the night comes, and they all sneak up on your ass and hit you at once. So I remember in the club, we're laughing, having a good time drinking. Some girl was there. She's like, "You have a nice hat." And she like took it off my head to wear it. And that's pretty much all I remember in the club. And then I remember being outside. I'm laying face down. I open my eyes, and there's grass like right here in my face, and like gnats buzzing around and shit. And I kind of turn my head and look. And one of my buddies is flagging down a cab and everything to get us back to the ship. And then, boom, I'm back out. And so the next thing I remember is waking up in my bed. I still got my shoes on, my wallet and everything. You're out with your buddies. Nothing going to happen to you. So I got my wallet and everything. And then, so I'm like, damn. It's like, Reveille is like 6 o'clock. So I'm still, still kind of fucking drunk from the night before. And this dude, names have been changed to protect the innocent. So this dude comes in to my berthing, where your beds are. And any of you have ever been on a ship, or maybe those who haven't, there's like 2 bunks on one side, 2 bunks on the other. You got some lockers, and you got what's called a coffin rack, where you're sleeping on top of your locker. So when you get out of your bed and you lift up your mattress, there's a compartments underneath for you to keep your shit, because there's not a lot of space. So this dude named Smith comes into my berthing. He's like, "Hey, man, why'd you piss in my boots?" I'm like, "What?" I'm like getting something in my rack. I stand up. I'm like, "What'd you say?" He's like, "Man, why'd you piss in my boots? So-and-so told me that he saw you do it last night." I was like, "Man, I didn't piss in your fucking boots. What are you talking about? What the fuck do I look like, man?" He's like, "Well, you're going to buy me some new ones." I'm like, "Man, I'm not buying you shit. All right? I did not piss in your boots, man." He got me confused with somebody else. I didn't do that shit. And so we just kind of stand there looking at each other. I was like, "What, man? Get out of here." He kind of looks at me, all pissed off or whatever. I'm like, man, my buddy was right there. I was like, man, I ain't pissing that motherfucker's boots. He's like, what's he talking about? I was like, fuck, I don't know. I didn't do that shit. So, man, I get dressed and everything, go have chow. After chow, you know, they give you your, they have muster, take roll, make sure nobody fell off the ship in the middle of the night. And then you get assigned your job and you go do your thing. So we had to paint these M frames, and they call them M frames because they're shaped like a big ass M, and they're like 30 feet tall. And we had to paint them with this oil-based paint. Now, like I said, late May, Puerto Rico, it's hot as shit. And the humidity has got to be like 150%. The sun is like in the back of my shirt just chilling. Hot as hell. So I'm hanging upside down in this cargo net, painting the underside of this M frame, and this flashback hits me. Boom. I'm like, oh, I did piss in his boots. Fuck. It started coming back to me. I remember stumbling to the bathroom at like 3 o'clock in the morning or whatever. And for some reason, the toilet was too far. And the Heineken, the duck farts, and the 151 said, nah, man, piss right there. So I did. And it was like a, you know, a frothy asparagus piss in this dude's boots. You know, shook it off. You know, they say you shake it more than twice, you're playing with it. Went back to my rack. That's all I remember. And I was so committed, because in my mind, I did not do that shit. I did not remember. When I talked to him, I did not remember that shit. Now, when you're out with your buddies like that, drinking, and you're all in the same age group, there's no Sharif in your group that's going to lean up against the cooler and not let you get a 40 out of there. If you know about that, you know about that. There's no Sharif, all right? There's nobody stopping you saying, hey, man, I don't think you should drink that. No, they're drinking it too. So because of that, I'm all fucked up, blacked out. I don't remember pissing in this dude's boots. I swear to you, when he confronted me about it, I honestly believed I did not piss in his boots. But guess what, America? I pissed in that dude's boots. But I couldn't go back now. It's too late. I'm too committed to I didn't piss in your shit. So I cannot go up to him. I did not have the lack of pride, or however you want to put it. I had too much pride to go up to him and say, hey, man, I'm sorry. I pissed in your boots. Let me make it right. So I never did that. I never went up and told him that I pissed in his boots. But don't worry. I did buy him a pair of boots, which are actually, they were small as shit. Like you could have hung them in the rear view in your cars through that tiny feet. Luckily, that made them cheap. I did buy him some new boots. I put him, a few days later, I put him like on his rack. So like he didn't know. Maybe he figured like, you know, there were some good Samaritans out there who took up a collection and get this fool some new boots. But I did get the man some new boots. Hey man, Smith, if you're watching this, my bad. It was me. I left the urine in your footwear. But that's it. That's my story. That's my pissing boots story. It won't be the last one. I hope you guys like it. I did some pretty funny, wild shit while I was overseas with my boys. Make sure you check the description box. I will have the Twitters on there. I will also have the info for my PayPal. So if you want to drop a few pennies in there, no Canadian pennies because they ain't worth shit, I would really appreciate that. Do not worry. I'm not done with the left. They won't let me. You know who I be. Jericho Green. I'm out.